watching AYV Television.
The Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone has confirmed that it is setting up a boundary delimitation technical committee on clearly defined terms of reference. The commission will collaborate with Statistics Sierra Leone for technical and operational assistance in providing population statistics data and expertise to draw electoral constituencies and ward boundaries using geographic information systems technology. However, provisional results of the 2021 midterm census released by Statistics Sierra Leone raised eyebrows amongst Sierra Leoneans. According to the results summary, our population has increased by only 449,528 from 7,092,113 to 7,541,641 between 2015 and 2021. In highly polarized politics the world over, census data is always contested as it is used for governments to allocate resources and parliamentary constituencies. An examination of the results for the 2004 census, which was conducted under an SLPP administration, and the 2015 and 2021 censuses revealed a troubling trend and cast doubt on the veracity of the 2021 results. This begs the question of where will this data put politics and the boundary delimitation. My name is Samuel Wise Bangura, and this is AYV on Sunday. Welcome back to AYV on Sunday here on AYV Television on Channel 33 on Radio FM 11.7. Tonight I have a distinguished panel to help me unpack the topic for the next 2 hours. Because I have with me in the studio Dr. Aissata Mahoy, National Coordinator for WANEP. Good evening, Doc, and welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening, Samuel. Good evening, viewers.
All right, I have the National Publicity Secretary of the Sierra Leone People's Party, retired Lieutenant Lahai Lawrence Lima. Good evening, and welcome. We are expecting in the studio Alfred Minkailu Kuruma of the APC and a political commentator, Honorable Bami Chidi, to be part of the conversation here tonight. But just before getting their precursory remark on the topic, to those of you watching, listening, or following us on our different social media platforms, especially those of you on Facebook, on the AYV Sierra Leone Facebook page, drop your comments, share with us your views. We'll find time to go through some of them in the show. The APC does not have an executive right.
Well, that being the case, those who are temporarily there to act should come, but I will not come here and sit as an elected official here to give opportunity to people to tell me things that they are not legitimate to tell me. So I would really want you to excuse me with all due respect and respect to the public to excuse me from this program, please.
All right, the show goes on. Let's quickly take a break and we'll be right back. right, welcome back. The show is AYV on Sunday, and tonight we're discussing the call for boundary delimitation by the Electoral Commission, Sierra Leone. We're relating that to where would that put politics, peace, and of course the questions that have been raised around the 2021 statistics data after the conduct of the housing population census. I've just been joined in the studio by Honorable Bamichidi. Good evening and welcome to the studio. All right, for those of you who joined us earlier, it is very obvious that you know the SLPP rep has left the studio. According to him, for obvious reasons, he would not want to lend legitimacy to people, to someone who is not legitimate. So, but the show continues. We would solicit your views, share your thoughts with us on the issues that we'll be discussing here tonight. We're still waiting for Alfred Mikaelu Kroma of the opposition All People's Congress Party to keep on the conversation. But let me ask quickly, just before we go into what we were set out for to discuss tonight. I'm sure you've had this social media audio calling for protest tomorrow, Monday, and all of that, where I know the authorities have come out with a statement that, oh, we're not aware, we've not permitted any group or persons to go out and protest, so tomorrow is like any other normal day in the Republic. But for the purpose of peace, where are we?
Thank you very much, Samuel. And for me, I think that, you know, I always say Sierra Leone, we're at the crossroads, you know. We always take the opportunity for us to be at a position where we think that we want to grow to some level, but there are times when people or citizens will think that, okay, yes, as citizens we have the right to peaceful demonstration, and we should be accorded that right. For me, I looked at it that way, that if anybody is aggrieved and they think that they want to talk about it, they should be allowed to talk about it. But in this case, of course, we have the law that guides us as well, wherein according to the police, from indications, from all indications that I have seen on social media, that they have not granted anybody, nobody has requested for that kind of demonstration, and they have not granted any go-ahead in terms of people coming out to demonstrate. I mean, demonstration is not always the answer. For me, as a peace builder, what I always look at is, let us dialogue. I think the government needs to engage the citizens a lot more. You know, there should be...
We've been calling for government to give that space for citizens to protest, to register their grievances against it. But if you look at this particular call, for example, there are names, there are signatures to those names, but there are no contact, nobody taking responsibility, nobody saying I'm the leader of calling for all of this.
You know, nowadays you don't just believe anything you see on social media. Those are just names that exist. It could be some few people who just sat and then made those inscriptions on that paper with no contact, no nothing, and nobody's claiming that I am the one leading this particular demonstration or campaign. Well, it begs the question: why, who is involved, and why? You know, for me, like I say, as a peace building expert, I think what we should be doing by now is dialogue. You know, continuous dialogue, because the state in which we are, yes, most people are aggrieved, and people think that the cost of living, the economic hardship in the country is something that is worrisome, and the government and all of us have to do something towards it. Yes, we have the right to talk about it when things are very difficult, you know, but again, we have to look at the other way, that do we always have to go on the streets to claim our rights? There are better ways that we could have done it. There are better ways the government needs to do it in terms of trying to engage the people. You know, the government needs to do a lot more. This is not the time that we should be thinking of unrest, because most times when people go out to demonstrate, you see the outcome. The police on their own most times do not respond accordingly. Right. I mean, for me, this is my fear. This is what I don't want, that people come out on the street, either they fire tear gas or live bullets, people get hurt, some businesses get closed, people steal from businesses. All of these things are not good things that people should write home about. So what we need is dialogue. We need to communicate. Government needs to communicate with citizens. They need to create the platform wherein they talk. You know, citizens bring their idea, they bring their grievances, and then we talk about it. So for me, I think there should be a structure for this. And this is why for us at WANEP, once we begin to engage communities, these are the things we look out for. We are about to set up what we call the insider mediations, you know, even at community levels, you know. So this is what we'll be looking at for. When people are aggrieved, they have where they talk about it and try to look for solutions. Exactly. Right. So yes, at community level or local level. So this is what we are looking at.
Honorable Bamichidi, let me hear you on this call for protest. The women, I mean, names written on paper with signatures, with no, I mean, individual to claim leader, to take responsibility or, I mean, assume the position of a leader calling for that particular protest, because according to rumors, they are fed up, they are tired with conditions of living, with the current state of affairs. But it appears the list itself is suspicious. So who is calling for protest? And why are the people not, I mean, not coming out to say we are the ones? So how would the police grant them permission?
First of all, my own personal view is United Nations gives everybody enshrined in our Constitution that you have the right to demonstrate. But then, we are a sovereign nation. That's what people fail to understand. We have our own statute has been going there. And successive government up to this point, it was only the libel law was expunged from the law. But at the same time, who bears the responsibility just in case something happened? But I'll piggyback from what she said just now. We should open line of communication. That is what is lacking. I can remember some 4 or 5 years ago, on SBS TV. There was a question asked. I said, God, not the bank phone. In the sense that open your line and listen and talk to somebody. That was stay connected. That's what I gave an Eskuma at the time. Stay connected. Listen to people. And you have to have structure, because most of these things should have been from the public and political affairs. But what I've noticed for the last time is that communication lines are blocked. You don't know where to talk, who to talk to. But at the same time, they say the president is a listening president. Let us open that line of communication, because in the sense that who are we talking for this demonstration? The government now should be assuring people that we will protect life and property. But it's two ways to the coin. But most of the time, they're coming with this violent and inciting words that sometimes I don't even understand. Right. Burn shop, burn this, burn this. It's the government, because when you put you parade a lot of security in the streets of Freetown, instead of de-escalating, you escalate tension. And so let us use this. We see, it's a mental chess they are playing. The ones who are out there calling for government to come, what is it, PPI or something? People's power or something like that. It's a good thing for them to talk. But at the same time, who do you talk to? The line of cooperation should be open so that people can dialogue. All these names, could somebody come and take responsibility? Don't hide behind somebody's finger. If I don't think it's right, I come in. But you see another problem. When politicians will start talking, we'll make it ungovernable. All All of them have been saying that kind of thing. It's now we are saying what is ungovernability.
Interpretation of.
That's exactly, this is the first time. Since 2007, because it didn't happen on the Pakabas, but we're in Parliament. When we're coming to 2000, they say, oh, if you don't give us, we'll make it ungovernable.
And that is what is happening now.
All three of them have said it, the Samoa, the president, current president, and the former president. For God's sake, we should be mindful of our utterances in politics. When it's good for you, you make sure you think and reflect, because what goes around comes around. Like I said sometimes to somebody, most of these laws I call their attention to then, it's what is haunting the opposition.
Right.
Because if they have listened to people when they're talking. But one thing I tell you, if we are looking at the thing squarely and looking it straight in the face, we should open line of dialogue, communication, stay connected. But that's what, because right now, it's panic button. Everybody is pressing, and that's the game plan of the people who are trying to get people out in the street. At the end of the day, what will happen? You don't have to go to, after 10 o'clock, the day of the business of the day is spoiled.
So let me allow you now to just talk to Sierra Leoneans whether or not, they should look at the peace, stay home, and just go about their normal businesses.
I think they should go about their normal business. You know what? Who almost person to get money for buying 3 days shop money for Putarados. Get blackout or kind of. Let's just go and buy a thing and promote. And we were talking about bread and butter issue. What you were slacking for? When Pakaba was when the guys was 30 leons, when by the time my next come in, it went up to 200,000 leons. Was it not the same thing is happening now? It's just happened that timing is of the essence. Sometimes, if you have the luck when the good child is flowing, you enjoy it. But this time, so many global crises events have overtaken us. It's the way you manage your time and the space you have to make sure you deliver the deliverables and make sure you protect your citizens. It's not the United States going to tell me that.
Okay. Let me quickly welcome Alfred Minkalu Kroma from the Opposition All People's Congress. Alfred, good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening, Samuel. Good evening, fellow panelists. Delighted to be here as always.
Good evening.
Already we're seeing there's a call out there on social media that people should come out tomorrow and protest because they are dissatisfied with the current state of affairs. What do you make of that call?
Firstly, let me establish that I am actually not here to have a talk regarding the proposed demonstration or strike.
Right.
I am here to debate on the topic boundary delimitation.
Right.
And so I came here prepared for that. But however, it is also my responsibility as a Sierra Leonean to actually make a comment when issues of national importance are being discussed.
Right.
I am one person that is averse to violence. I don't like violence. I believe in solving problems on the table. You know, we may recall that we fought a decade civil incursion in this country. But in the end, there was never a winner. A winner never emerged. We actually went for many, many peace accords. But in the end, it was the Lome Peace Accord that actually brought peace to Sierra Leone. So I am averse to that. I believe we have electoral laws in this country. That is why when a government is elected, they have a mandate of 5 years. And when that mandate expires, it is the responsibility of the people to so decide if they want the government to continue or not. And that is why it is democracy. You exercise your rights, you protest, you know, on the ballot box. It is also the right of people to protest. And that is why police must not always deprive them from that right. Although in some circumstances, some protests may actually lead to something that is unexpected.
Right.
But again, I don't hold any brief for one Sierra Leone. Thankfully, representative, I suggest the director is here. One Sierra Leone has not been up to the task, I must say. One Sierra Leone, I believe, is an ECOWAS early warning mechanism that was actually put in place, I suppose, during the web of interconnected conflicts. Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso. I believe their responsibility is to actually look at early warning signs and see how they can advise government to prevent any outbreak of conflict But they have not been doing much. We have had instances in this country.
I don't want us to talk about one.
Yeah, because I know.
They have not been doing much.
I feel as if he is going to attack my personality.
No, I am not attacking
No,
one.
that
I
is
am
what
just
you're
being
doing
blunt
exactly,
with the
and that is not why you are here.
We are not supposed to be
And to
condemning.
get the record straight, WANEP was not set up by ECOWAS. WANEP was set up by fellow Liberian scholars who saw that there was war.
No, I have had the
opportunity.
opportunity. WANEP is an ECOWAS early warning mechanism.
No,
Gentlemen,
WANEP works with ECOWAS. It's not an ECOWAS early warning mechanism.
It is an ECOWAS early warning mechanism.
It is
I have
not.
had the opportunity.
No, you are not here to attack my personality.
But I am here to set the record straight.
Let's get to what would you want to say.
Which records?
What would you want to say to Sierra Leoneans regarding tomorrow's
Exactly.
Now let me state this
quickly.
Institutions, be it civil society or the media, must not only be seen coming out to condemn citizens when they want to express their rights.
Nobody condemns citizens. Nobody condemns citizens.
It is our responsibility
Nobody
to also
condemns
ensure
citizens.
we identify
I said
issues
government
and
has
take
to
government
engage
task.
citizens.
That is
That's what I said.
Your message
Government
is
should
Sierra Leoneans.
My
engage
message
citizens.
is the police. I want to address the police, especially the newly appointed IG of police. It is the right of the people to protest. I am not one of the organizers. I am against any form of violence. Let it be established clearly. But when the people want to protest and they approach the police, it is the right for the security of the people to be guaranteed. It is their right. It is enshrined in our Constitution. When you take a look at Chapter 3 of the 1991 Constitution, Act Number 6, it is clearly established there. The right to peaceful assembly, freedom of association. It is also guaranteed by the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
But
and we have other instruments.
The problem now the police are having is that nobody is there to take responsibility, to claim that we are the ones calling for this. So you just have list of names for many people, the same ink, same pen. Maybe somebody sat in one corner and wrote all the names, which, tried to do some signature change and all of that. So who would the police, all responsible are, okay, Honorable Bamichidi, you are the one leading this protest. If anything goes wrong, you take responsibility. That's not that. That's the problem that the police is having.
Okay, now, Samuel, I read the press release from government of Sierra Leone. It is being described as a faceless demonstration. I also read on social media a group of individuals authoring a request from the police to ask that they want to protest. I agree with you. Any protest without leadership, it is actually disastrous. There has to be clear leadership. If people want to demonstrate, it is their right. Let them be bold enough to write to the police and take responsibility. Someone has to own up to the process. So that is just it. You have to take responsibility. For us, there are issues in this country which we can never support. But when the time comes and when the APC is ready to demonstrate, we are going to take full responsibility and tell government that we want to demonstrate.
We'll discuss that then. Let me come to Dr. Maoi.
Yes, please.
Dr. Maoi, now we've seen, just quickly, going back to the topic we're here to discuss. We've seen the Electoral Commission putting out a statement saying that we've set up a technical committee to look at boundary delimitation. How do we delimit boundaries with the statistics data, the 2021 midterm census data? But this data, almost all opposition political parties have kicked against it, saying it is not correct. They've questioned why the population decreased in the Western Urban, for example, increased in some other parts of the country. And there are a whole lot of dynamics in play.
Okay.
Now, if that is to go into force, where would that put the politics 2023?
Looking at it in a peace point of view, I think that what we are good at in this country is not putting the first thing first.
Right.
Like I always say, engagement. We should have proper engagement in place when we want to get things done. And I think as a government, they tried to some extent, but getting the right things done by engaging every political party to own the process is what they did not meet. They did not meet that particular criteria. And it's not that it is wrong to do the census, to have done the census, but I think the timing of the census was not right at that particular time. We would have given enough time. And to say that some areas decreased in terms of population density,
Right.
I think because a lot of people were not counted also. And especially in the enlightened areas, you know, because people think that, oh, why do they want to impose a census on us when we're not ready for this? So many people boycotted. And when you boycotted, so you get the result as it is. And for me, I'm not saying that we should go on with that census. We all need data. For me, I so value data because it is data that I deal with in my organization, you know, because on daily basis, we gather data that informed us for policy decisions, for discussing with different institutions or different agencies. No, like one help we work with ODONS.
Right.
Greatly, and most times when we get information, we work together to be able to understand how we go about doing this. In as much as we're here for peace, we will also will not want to see a situation where some people will be left out in a particular process. We saw what happened in the Bintumani 3. You know, some political parties did not also participate. But we cannot go on like this as a country. You know, we should try to get the record straight. We should try to do the first thing first in the beginning of everything that we want to do to engage people. We will not get things like this. We will not come to things like this, you know.
Just quickly, Dr. Maui, are we where we are because, would I be safe to say the APC did not accept defeat in the 2018 elections? Going back, because you just mentioned the Bintumani Free Conference, the APC did not participate, according to the APC, because they were not involved, they were not invited into the process.
Yeah.
But the government then said, if we even sent a delegation to the chairman and leader in Makeni, we had talks, we had negotiations, but they did not show. You look at the census, when the pronouncement was made, questions were raised, and at the end of the day, an official statement was out from the party saying, please don't go out, do not be counted. This is not okay, so don't if you are people, if you are supporting us, we are not agreement and continue. At the end of the day,
you know, Samuel, you see these two main political parties that we have, they are the problems of our country today. They are the problems of our country. When this come, it want for turn and give this waiting happen. When then they come out, it want for turn and give them the waiting happen. Yes, we cannot continue like this in the country. If we want to develop and progress as a country, we have to seek the interest of the citizens. We have to seek the interest of our country. We have to seek the interest and development of this particular nation that we all have, that we all hope to see one day will be the paradise on earth. That is what we are looking for. Not a political party or two political parties holding everybody to ransom. You know,
as you said that, what comes to mind, just quickly before I bring in Honorable Bami, is it that because of what they've gone through in the hands of the APC, it's just trying to frame even national policies as a way of revenge?
No, well, yeah, people. This is what people say, and this is what you see glaring, you know. And should the APC come into power, they do the same. We have been on this rigmarole for several years. Why should we continue like this? You know, on the peace front, we should not be looking at things like this at this particular moment. We already had hardest hits, one of the hardest hit economies of the world. Right. This is what we should be thinking about: how to get that straight, how to take our people out of poverty, not coming to sit here to talk about things, how to not to delimit, how to not to conduct a census, how to not, you know, it's frustrating because the citizens are not treated fairly. And they are sometimes they are brainwashed, sometimes manipulated by these main political parties, which is not good for our development as a country, you know.
Honorable Bami, let me bring you in. You know, it's interesting, the fact that when the process was announced, I mean, according to Statistics Sierra Leone, for example, they formed the advisory council, and I think the advisory council is where the politicians sit from all political parties, where they advise and they oversee what is actually happening every step of the way. And I was told, for example, the APC was represented by Dr. Richard Conte in that committee. But the APC has put forward that the process is not inclusive. We are left out of every step leading up to. In fact, we challenged the process. The timing was wrong. Even those we referred to as moral guarantors and financial donors, some at World Bank, they pulled out because the timing, everything was wrong. And they are banking on that to the point that they called on their people. But they're not come to now. And at the end of the day, data came out, places perceived to be their strongholds. I mean, the number reduced. So, and now, Electoral Commission Sierra Leone is saying, you know what we've gotten, the data we've gotten, we have to do what we're cut out for. Boundary delimitation, that's our role. Let's do it. Where does that put us?
Not left you hit me and go Babio. You see me parts, they will give boys parts. In the sense that you make sure you participate. Everything is the process. But the one thing is within the gifts of the president to call in census because of our constitution. And you should be mindful and take current of it. But then, they were arguing about proportional representation and every kind of thing. It was only mentioned in that electoral bill. It's 38.1. It's still there in our statute.
Right.
Because when they lie for people, when it's correct thing. You see, we try to manipulate. You see, when you keep the people ignorant, you are able to govern them. If you give power to the wrong person, that's what you have. But now, coming to the question, it's within the gift. Do the people want it? That's why the line of communication comes in. Do your cabinet approve of it? Obviously, it will be approved. And then, when it's a provisional figure, but if they've said they score one goal by having that one removed, at the end of the day, it's within the power of the Electoral Commission to do boundary delimitation and then sensitize the people. And if they cut it where you want, so be it. But at the same time, it has to be approved by the House of Parliament.
Right.
And then, that's where the negotiation comes in. I'll rest my case on that point because you have to negotiate in the sense that they were doing some figures I saw on the social media. 10 minus this, minus that. Now you make a, that means you have to see that. Open, see, what is lacking? We don't negotiate, we don't dialogue. It should be consensus building in a fragile peace and economy.
But can we really sit? I mean, can the APC and SLPP sit on the table and see and discuss the numbers, discuss the figures when they know at the end of the day? I mean, it is the numbers that determine who wins, and the game for them is win or win.
That is why when you had the legislative meeting, you see, let me tell you one thing that pisses me off in the sense that, hey, Paul, they go do it. Have you consulted? Have you talked to your other side for them to come to a consensus? It's consensus building. That's all the whole thing. You know why Ernest Koma succeeded in the first part? Because it was part of Parliament. He knew our psyche. He knew our thinking. But from the time after Bangura, I warned him. I said, Bangura, they pass them bad law. That is what is haunting them. So whether you like it or not, that is what is haunting them. SAP haven't done nothing. It is only say it is part of the law. But now, where is the other opportunity? Instead of throwing, they should have made sure that caveat should have been brought in the legislative briefing. Maybe that has been done privately, I don't even know. But only thing is then, at the end of the day, political parties will have to go back to the executive to work out a formula that can accommodate each other.
So yeah,
period.
In essence, you're saying the APC shot itself.
9 foot.
Interesting. Let me bring in Mikhailu. Mikhailu, the Electoral Commission Sierra Leone has announced that it is setting up a technical committee I mean, in collaboration with Statistics Sierra Leone, because they have the expertise and the technical know-how to help rule out the boundary delimitation with the figures. Now, what does the APC make of that? I mean, especially using the figures that you condemned, the figures that you've not accepted, the figures that you felt are being, influenced politically to suit, the comfort of the ruling class.
Thank you. For the edification of the listening public, let me just read this. Yeah, West Africa Network for Peace Building, WANEP, it's a leading regional peace organization.
Can I please you hold you there, Michael? I beg of you to just go to, let's discuss.
Those who are interested in reading about WANEP, I will not read it. Yeah?
Let's discuss.
They can Google it and see their link with ECOWAS.
Let's go to this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Firstly, I read a letter dated the 2nd June 2022 from the Chief Electoral Commissioner to the Statistician General asking for the provisional results, midterm census. I have also read a notification or update dated the 22nd of July 2022, update from the Electoral Commission on boundary delimitation and voter registration. You know, firstly, there is this reference to the Constitution, Section 38, subsection 4 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, 1991, where they are drawing their powers to do what they are doing. Nobody is in contention with the law. Nobody is saying that is not the law. Yeah. What we are saying is that you cannot rely on an erroneous data, a data that was actually condemned not only by main opposition parties, but other political parties and development partners. We also the exchanges of letters from the World Bank to the Ministry of Finance and to the Ministry of Economic Development. A letter sometimes on the 7th of December 2021, a letter was sent to the Ministry of Finance, to Dr. Dennis Vandi, and to Francis Kaikai, Ministry of Economic Development, informing them that World Bank was backing out of the process for many inadequacies. And they stated the inadequacies, that the time was actually not enough for them to even train enumerators properly. The pilot census result was not available for it to be analyzed to see if they can go ahead with the census. But because statistics did not listen, World Bank had to withdraw from the process. Again, I saw the reply on the 9th of the same December that was sent to World Bank. The minister did state clearly that he acknowledged receipt to his dismay and that the withdrawal of World Bank will actually taint the credibility of the entire census process. The exchanges of letters, we saw them. We saw the statement of the European Union that the midterm census could be regarded as a novelty. It has never happened in the history of this country to have a midterm census. Secondly, they also did say they cannot rely on the midterm census to do boundary delimitation. It is stated. But when Ansumana, the Director of Communications for Start Sierra Leone, was on 98.1, he did say they were going to use this census data to correct the 2015 census for development purposes, for other reasons, but not for political reasons. This was the fear that the APC was expressing.
But statistics has nothing to do with politics. I mean, Statistics Sierra Leone does not have anything to do with politics.
Now, you cannot also distinguish statistics from the political dynamics within the country. It is a very important institution. They may not have anything to do with politics, but politicians may tend to use state institutions to get their way. And that is what is wrong. The APC is in no way supporting any form of boundary delimitation. Firstly, we can never support the 2022 midterm census result, provisional result. We only can rely on the 2015 data in this country for any developmental purposes.
Which the experts have said, I mean, it was flawed, so they wanted to correct that, the one that you are relying on, because according to them, there were missing links in that census. So the 2021 midterm should correct all of that.
That was said by the SLPP. But let me tell you, the 2015 census was conducted in this country and nobody boycotted it. The European Union did not withdraw. World Bank did support from start to finish. and the results were certified to be credible. And so that is the data we rely on to delimit our boundaries. Now, I was in a debate with one of the members of parliament very recently.
I know, just before you continue, let me take you back to that 2015 census, for example.
Yes.
Yeah? I mean, we look at the 2018 election, the results. Go to the parliamentary vote, for example. The APC, I mean, got 1% over the SLPP parliamentary vote, but that 1% gave 20 seats to the SLPP. To the APC. So the SLPP say, wait a minute, just 1%. I mean, in votes, just 1% over us, and you have 20 seats. So the 2015 census, the SLPP say, no, we have to correct that. How can 1% give you 20 seats?
Okay, let me tell you, that premise is faulty.
Go ahead.
Ab initio. It is faulty because in electoral processes, there is what is referred to as voter apathy. One thing that affected the APC during the elections in 2018, there was voter apathy in most of our strongholds. That is why, after the election, you saw a group of young people coming together, asking the leadership of the party to reform the party and to review the constitution of the party, to expunge the selection clause. A lot of people did not vote because of the fact that they were dissatisfied with the processes leading to the elections. Internal disputes within the APC led to that result. So that must not be used as a yardstick by Start Sierra Leone or any extract whatsoever, or the SLPP government to now say they want to do boundary delimitation. You can agree with me that the SLPP only won the elections less than 2%, the presidential election. I will tell you, in most of our places, in Tonkolidi, for example, Potloko, Bombali, Kagine, most of the people did not vote. They never voted SLPP. They did not also vote for the APC. In Temne, well, the parliamentarian will tell you SO2.
Yeah.
When the Temne man tells you, Ikasedi, Tamitiedi, Yoi, just relax, because the individual have made his or her mind up and will never participate. That was the case for the APC. So this must not be used now as a yardstick to say, because of the disparity in the votes obtained by the MPs or members of parliament, that the difference was just 1% and the APC got majority of the seats, they now want to delimit based on that particular ground. I now see the reason why the SLPP went to parliament and removed 10 of our MPs unconstitutionally, I must say.
Can I?
I now see the reason why they imposed 10 members of parliament and a speaker of parliament.
I'll bring you in shortly.
But the APC...
Yes, let me ask this question,
yes.
Alfred. Now, going about this 2021 midterm census data and the boundary delimitation that the Electoral Commission is set out, to do. In fact, the argument has been, first, it is within the mandate of the president to proclaim a date for a midterm census. They feel like, between 5 and 8 years, 10 years, the president has the power to do so. And so it is within the president's power to do so. And, the census has been conducted. But you, the APC, for example, told your supporters, told your people, told many of those, if not thousands, that, hey, don't go out, don't be counted. And at the end of the day, now you're saying people boycotted. Did people boycott, or did the APC, tell its supporters, don't participate? This is not a matter of boycotting, but this is a matter of asserting our authority that we are a towering political party in this country. We have the numbers. We command huge support. So when we say our people listen, and it affects every development activity that the country would want to take, that's the situation?
It is not the situation. The APC can never support something that is crooked. The whole process was actually a manipulation. I can tell you authoritatively that World Bank has the responsibility to support census projects within West Africa, because for them, they rely on credible data for development processes to take place. So if the World Bank can boycott a whole census, if the European Union can boycott a whole census, the APC was actually spot on. Our party was in place to have also boycotted it. We owe no regret whatsoever for telling our people not to participate in that census. And we are not going to respect that provisional census result. Any data that is being extracted from that census result to now want to transport it to conduct any form of electoral boundary delimitation, the APC will not support it. It is their cup of tea. They can go ahead and do whatsoever they want to do. but the APC will not support it. And would
that not kill the APC?
No, the APC will not die. Nothing will kill the APC. The APC is a political party that will survive forever. Succeeding generations will come and lead the APC. The APC will never be killed. But I will tell you, our position, ab initio regarding this census is always almost the same. We are not going to cheat from our position. We did not support the census, and we are not going to support whatever data that is being extracted from that census result to now want to delimit boundaries. Now, they are saying, even if boundaries are delimited, we are still going to have 132 constituencies in this country.
But that is left for Parliament to decide.
No, Parliament have already made the decision. I was in a debate with one of the members of Parliament representing SLPP. Neck holds to Parliament. Parliament have said 132 constituencies, no matter the delimitation. So now when you take a look at the figures for Western area, now there is also a correspondence, actually the allotment or allocation of registration centers. Freetown is about 592 registration staff, yeah? Whilst Kenema has about 781.
Kenema has the highest population.
Well, this is the error. How can Kenema now be populated and Western area, the capital here? That is the error.
So
that is the error.
Did you also
now,
take
even Bo,
did you also take into consideration
693.
for example, that census nights, people went to their villages, to their districts, and they wanted to be counted in their districts, in their villages.
Now, let me tell you, that particular result is an error. I was born and raised in Kenema.
Right.
I do go to Kenema every other month. My mom resides in Kenema. Let me establish this. When you go to Kenema and you go to recreational areas, you can even count people. Are you now telling me Kenema is the most populated place in this country? That is erroneous. It is wrong. And that is why we are questioning the census result.
All right.
That is why we are questioning the census result.
Let me bring in Dr. Maoi. I mean, I see you've got the enormity of your task. Because if one of the biggest political parties in this country is saying we will not accept any decision coming from the 2021 midterm census, both population and housing, then where does that put us? I'm still asking that question. Where does that put us in terms of progressing with electoral activities and holding the 2023 elections in June?
We had almost the same issues when it was coming towards the 2018 elections. You know, there were issues of no boundary delimitation, they were questioned, you know, but the country managed to get over things like this, For the love of country, you know, I think that it is high time these politicians stop playing with people's intelligence. It is high time politicians stop playing with people's intelligence. You know, I said it earlier on that these two major political parties, they are the problems of Sierra Leone. And we'll not only get problems, we will not be going into chaos until when it is coming towards elections. We are not a people that love to fight. We saw what happened to us for 11 years when we were into that senseless war. We will not want to derail ourselves into issues like that any longer. So what I'm saying is this particular issue that is happening is bringing us to a particular position where I think the peace and security of people is being threatened. And this is not what we want as an institution. We are here to protect the peace and security of the citizens. So our mandate is for us to be able to engage even the political parties, because this is why I said earlier on, we're about to set up or reactivate what we call the National Elections Response Group, which looks into issues like this, which has eminent personalities, of course, that will engage political parties for us to find ways and means of how best to be able to solve tensions like this. Because these are tensions, and then once they start from these political parties, they trickle down to the communities. And the youth are the ones that are more involved, because they are the ones that they use. But who suffer the most as well? Women. So you see, the entire population becomes vulnerable to their excesses. For me, I call them that they have their excesses, they have baggage, you know, in which I think they, as political parties responsible for holding the development or working on the development of this country, they are tearing us apart, tearing the people apart. They should stop holding people's, putting people at a position where their lives are being threatened just because of power. Yes, just because of power.
So how does it happen? At the end of the day, many people would say, I think these are things we should talk about. These are things we should bring to the table. Let's discuss amicably. Let's dialogue. Let's compromise. But I'm asking, how would that happen? Because the Electoral Commission Sierra Leone is evidently, on this.
Moving forward,
the commission does not seem to hold back. The commission seems pushing forward. And in that very commission, I think there are committees that even the APC, SLPP, all political parties are represented. I don't know if it's a task force or some committee.
Yeah.
Now, how would that committee now come together and look at the interest of Sierra Leone beyond SLPP, beyond APC? Is that possible, especially in the build-up to 2023 elections, when all the APC wants is winning, when all the SLPP wants is winning?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, now it's a tough one. It's a complex situation where I think all of us has to come on board. It is our responsibility as citizens to hold them accountable. And all of us come on board. High time we tell them that enough is enough. We're not going to take this anymore. But again, when you look at issues that has to do with the law, we, WANEP, do not interfere on those ones. As long as it has to do with the law, and as long as it is...
Right.
Yes. So this... Our mandate stops there. We cannot go further when it has to do with the law. So our mandate for us is to ensure the rights of citizens are protected. In a nutshell, you protect the human security of people. That is what we do. That is why we talk. That is why we engage. And that is what we are calling on the electoral management bodies to do. That is what we are calling on the political parties to do, the governments also. We should engage. We should engage. We should begin to think about ideas. We should begin to think about structures that will bring us together as a nation, not something that will tear us apart.
Honorable Bamichidi, it's interesting how things are panning out. Whether things are being tilted in the path that that leads to building or consolidating our democratic culture, or a path that actually puts democracy under siege. In the sense that now the APC, one of the biggest and largest political parties in the country and the main opposition, is saying, wait a minute, we condemned the way the entire census activities, were being carried out. We sent our representative in the committee, in the advisory committee, told them that this is our position and things should be, the timing was wrong. In fact, that was why we even told our people not to be counted. And now the party is saying our position is sacrosanct. We're not going to change. We're not going to shift, because we believe this is a direct attempt to play with the figures for election purposes. Where do we then take? The case is two. If I told you, there should be a barrier.
What comes around goes around. The census 2050 was 40. But what was the necessity for them to go in? Don't forget what we have in Sierra Leone is allotted seats in parliament.
Right.
And do you know what the cost of having more chiefdom? What skin is going to be on the government? I was in the program, I think SBS or somewhere, when I cautioned them. I said, why the hell are we rushing for another boundary diminution? But because I said it's within the gift of the president to call census.
Was that in 2015?
Yes, because I had the counter. Said there was a little bit hiccup here and there. That's been diplomatic. So it's the same thing now. When you want to be circumcised, what you want it or don't want it, the only thing is you have to negotiate with the executive. Because What if Femi Koloscope say contribute to faith? So if you sit down there and don't be counted, then you have a problem. In the sense now, what is happening is the government is going ahead because it's the mandate of Electoral Commission. It's a provisional, and it's that provisional result they're going to use. And if they're going to use it, and they reduce Freetown, they reduce 2 or 3 things in the country, you go vex. It's what is there on the paper. But then, when it comes to the actual registration of voter registration, then that's where the compromise will come in. And at the time, they'll see things. Because whether you like it or not, being circumstanced, because it's the same thing. They did that one in 2015, and they're doing this. You see, what if you say just not, do me or do you? That's the same thing they're playing. Sit for that, the political parties have changed. We suffer.
But then how do we grow beyond that?
How do you want to
I mean, as a nation, how do we grow beyond
till
that?
we start putting a thinking cap on and being patriotic to Sierra Leone? Forget about the voice of political parties. That's the only way you can get it out of it.
How can that happen? How can that happen when politics is seen as the milky ground?
Well,
the ground full of milk.
I won't use that word milky ground. And that is what you're seeing now, this demonstration that is coming.
Right.
That is what is happening. Renaissance will not make out low self-crime. So to me, it's a mental game they are playing each other. And if you don't handle it properly, it's going to backfire. So what the government should be doing now, put the interests of Sierra Leone first, the citizens, to make sure you secure them.
How can that interest be secured? How can that interest of the citizens be put
violence, like Menkalo was saying, violence, we were saying now, let us put Sierra Leone first. Nothing going to come out of it. It's just mental game we're playing. Because they tried it once, it worked. So in other words, you look at Sierra Leone, we've been talking about the bread and butter issue for the last 5-6 years. Is austerity gone? Nobody answered me that question. And the bread and butter problem is, when Anes came in, there was rights was a certain point, but at the time when he came in, went to 200,000. Did anybody grumble? What do we do now? Is politicians, let us go through this, because we're having a very fragile peace. How do you sustain it? It's only SLPP and EPs. That is why that olive branch from the one, before they come with inquiry, should have bridged that divide.
Let me ask you this question. Alfred mentioned that he has spoken with members of parliament, and parliament has made it clear that there's not going to be a single seat that will be added to the 132 seats already in parliament. So this boundary delimitation, what would it really do? Is it to say, hey, wait a minute, I have Honorable Emmanuel Sawyer, who is in parliament with 2,000 seats. And I have Honorable Rashid Wuri, who is in parliament with 25,000 votes. So is the boundary limitation going to say, wait a minute, no, we have to kill this disparity? So what disparity? I mean, in votes, let's take...
There's no disparity. Why should we be lying to each other? What disparity? The amount of people that register in your constituency, you vote. But the point here, APC did it. What good came out of it? Is it not right somebody won an election in carrying a district? The opposition? The government? So what you should be looking at, if you try to create seats for once you're in power, try to create added seats, it's added cost to the budget. And at the same time, we have allotted seats. Even with this current parliament, we have all the space. Unless they want to call the Chinese now to make underground mine in the next 6 months, which will not be possible. So what do? You have to go back to somewhere. In England, you see, I keep telling people we're having we are in mid-Atlantic. We move from the Westminster, which we got accustomed to. Even the parliament in England, you can catch. Nobody stop you. But with us, allotted with the mic and your table. And if you look at the place now, they're not asking and get like fairy self. Every day, why you are talking serious, you put green, all kind of things they're putting in the flowers and everything. It's not necessary, but at the same time, what do you do to enhance the parliamentary democracy. First of all, they don't even have decorum.
Even the boundary delimitation we talk about, Parliament has to approve of it before it is carried
I
on.
mentioned.
So then it goes back to Parliament.
I said to you, it's a provisional result that has to be decided by Parliament, because Parliament. You see the thing what happened with the last Parliament in '96, after '96, 2000, what they call it. We looked, it was 60 originally in Parliament. We started shifting till it got to 112. Pakaba wonders. But at the same time, because of our own selfish interest, so make other man and kind side. Now they want to I don't know, it's 136. There's no space left unless they want to drive wherever the clerks and they put somebody there. So which means if it's allotted seats, you would work on that thing. But the boundary delimitation, government is pushing its luck in the sense that at the end of the day, they have to bargain, give and take, and see. Because when you are talking about this, you won't talk, there will be no constituency.
So Parliament now
if APC sticks to their gun, there will be no constituency.
The Parliament has APC, the Parliament has SLPP, the Parliament has
listen
NGC,
to my question.
it has C4C, independent candidates.
Listen to my question. I'm asking. At the end of the day, it comes back to what they threw out. If you want to do, the boundary democracy will go on. Definitely, it's within the gift of the president. Let nobody fool the parliament and alive with the lie. They know so that can for happen at the end of the day. Then they have to negotiate.
Are you nicely putting it, Honorable Bamichidi, just before I bring in Alfred? Are you nicely putting it that, I mean, this is just part of the game? That, okay, we're not going with boundary delimitation, then we go with proportional representation. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Let me bring in Alfred. Alfred, looking at the things, and I mean, you form a very integral part in Parliament as a party.
The majority party in Parliament, the biggest political party in this country.
With all of these things now, and Parliament at the end of the day would have to approve the boundary delimitation. If, I mean, after NEC could have done everything, NEC could have to go back to Parliament, say, oh, we've come with seats. Now, please tell us, you are the parents, should we go on with this? Are you approve of this and all of that? Then where does the APC should redirect its strength in that this thing you're pushing for does not happen?
It will not happen, except that the SLPP are known for bastardizing the laws. They can impose, they can do whatever they want. But as far as we are concerned, of course. We have seen circumstances in which the Constitution has been abrogated. We've seen circumstances. Now, but we've seen circumstances in which the laws of this country, have been violated. Yeah, the SLPP is no respecter of the Constitution. That is just too clear. Now, the APC, our position is clear. We can never shift from that. We don't support the midterm census. Whatever information that is being extracted from that data will not be supported by the APC. But then you are asking question. Doc, in her presentation, she did say, as long as it has to do with the law, ONEP will not interfere. Granted, but let us also come to realize that, preventing conflict is far more cheaper than resolving it.
So what are you saying?
No, what I'm saying in other words, now when the law can actually be bent to favor a certain political party based on the surrounding circumstances, yeah? If we are to go by the tenets of the rule of law, the law must be fair. The law must be impartial. But when you see a circumstance in which the law is being used to favor a certain group as opposed to the other, it is your responsibility as an institution of good governance to actually advise.
But when the law is the law, for example, in this case, Electoral Commission Sierra Leone has a constitutional mandate. I mean, they have the acts that established the commission. And boundary limitation is...
We cannot rely on those provisions to do things that are erroneous.
Even when they are constitutional?
Yeah, now that is why we saw this coming. The more reason why we boycotted the midterm census. Because we are of the firmest of conviction that the SLPP will rely on provisions of the law. They are referring us to section.
Which makes it legal.
Now, they are not. Even as that, if the processes leading to that data are erroneous, you cannot now use the law to want to make it correct. That is the point we are making. We must not rely on provisions of the law or the Constitution to favor us to the disadvantage of others. They are now referencing Section 38, subsection 4. For whatever they do, they must reference a section of the law. But what are the processes leading to you referencing the law? That is the question one must always ask. Now, I want to make it also clear that we must not only sit and allow politicians or political parties to misuse the law or use the law to their advantage when you know it is wrong, only to say we cannot intervene because that is the law. We must know this.
Is this a way of saying
Yeah.
the APC is actually not going to accept, all of this? Are you capturing the state? Are you holding the state to ransom as a party?
We cannot hold the state to ransom. We did not ask our people to come out and demonstrate, even when we boycotted the census. We did not attack enumerators. We did not go to statistics and attack their staff. We expressed our dissatisfaction and boycotted the process, but we did not embark on any violence. That tells you we are a law-abiding political party.
So what is the
We cannot do
potential
anything
danger
to put the
that
peace of the state in
institutions
danger.
should respond to? What is the potential threat here, of any violent nature
Yes.
that institutions or CSOs should address?
Now, I told you, when I came to this studio earlier, I said I am no supporter of violence.
Right.
That we must have to reflect our minds to the decade civil incursion in this country. The devastating consequences are still fresh in human memory.
Right.
So we must not tolerate that which will actually lead us to those situations. That is why we must always dialogue to have solutions to our problem. That is the point. The APC is a political party that is peaceful. Otherwise, with the imposition of a speaker on parliament and the removal of MPs, the killing of innocent civilians in our strongholds, including McKinney, that will have warranted an unrest in this country. But we did not do that. We are able to talk to our people to see reasons why they must not take the law into their own hands. But then the Honorable Bamichidi was saying, when it comes to the actual representation of voters, that will be the period in which compromises are to be made, voter registration.
Right.
I agree with him that the voter registration will actually vindicate the SLPP or vilify them regarding the midterm census. And that is why the processes leading to voter registration must also not be compromised. I have told you, now the midterm census is saying the population of Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone, has reduced to 42.5%, which is about 606,000 and some hundreds, yeah, from what used to be about 1,055,964 in 2015 to now 606,701 in 2022. This is ridiculous. So now, even in the allocation of voter, registration staff, the number given to Western area is small. And if this is the number that ECSL is going by, most people will not be able to register within 30 days.
So the centers are distributed by population?
By population.
And so Kenema has the highest?
Has the highest, about 781. Boys having 693 registration staff. And Freetown, the capital, that is housing the state house and the House of Representatives, where all ministries are housed. Where people do come to seek for greener pasture. It's having a very limited number. I tell you,
it's about the population.
Now, I hope on the 6th, you read the social media post of the mayor of Freetown that is currently challenging the result.
Right.
She said the figures given by the midterm census are incorrect and that the population of Freetown cannot now be reduced by 42.5%, and that in fact they, as a council, are in disapproval of that data.
The mayor is not a statistician.
No, but the mayor is also correct to tell you the figure. What if they have also conducted a study one way or the other?
Has the figures given to her by statistics, correct?
2015. And that is what she relied on.
And the new data is now saying otherwise.
Which we are in disapproval of. We are in disapproval of it.
Because the mayor belongs to the APC?
The Honorable Bami was also saying tit for tat.
Yes.
We cannot be talking about tit for tat. Especially at this material time.
Go ahead.
I understand.
Let us correct it now.
Yeah.
Do me, I do you.
It is bad. It is bad for the progress of country.
And start moving
Yes.
forward.
Now, when the SLPP came, they promised us a new direction.
Yes.
The 2018 New Direction Manifesto, they title as the People's Manifesto. Even the theme for the midterm census is the people's census. But they are doing things that are actually not in line with the literatures they are writing. You cannot tell us it is a new direction, and you now come to say, I am coming to undo all what the APC did during their tenure, and I'll do more bad things in this country. That is incorrect. We must have to realize that. You ask the question, what will the boundary delimitation?
Would you agree? Would you go back to say, hey, wait a minute. I think these different partitions of the house, as in the state, is actually putting up. The foundation created that room. Which is why Honorable Bami is saying, wait, the legislations should have guided us way back since 2015 and all of that. We should have corrected so many things even before then, but we did not. Instead, because it favored us when we were in power, we did not think that we would have to go in opposition. So is that a crisis here?
So we may not want to go back to history.
Right.
Because if you take a look to what happened in 1964, after the death of Samuel T. Magai, when Albert Magai came in, he introduced a lot of bad laws. And when Sheikha Stephen assumed the presidency, he was able to write on those laws. You understand? And Julius Maada Bio is doing same. Like Albert Magai, like Julius Maada Bio. And that is very wrong. Well, Ernest was a liberal president. Ernest was a liberal president that was able to hold the country together. There was national cohesion. The same cannot be said for now. Ernest was able to hold the country together. It's a liberal president. Now you asked a very significant question, Samuel.
Quickly, yes, go ahead, quickly.
What will the boundary delimitation really do?
Yes.
If the constituencies remain 132?
Yes.
What will that actually do? I tell you, they now have a pilot result, yeah? They have approximated. They are going to take 9 constituencies from Western area to take it to where they want to take it, just so that they can have majority in parliament.
It's not because
and
of
that
the
is
figures.
the danger.
It's not because of the numbers.
Forget the figures. This result is erroneous. We must not rely on that. And that is why we are never going to support it. We cannot allow the SLPP to think that they own this country all by themselves. This country is owned by every Sierra Leonean. All of us have got rights to this country. So we will not sit by and allow them to have a field day to do what they want to do.
Did you not make it easy for them to have a field day at all as a party? Did you not make it that easy for them to say, hey, go to bed and sleep? We thought we were going to get, we thought we were going to...
How can we support a process that is not credible? How can we support a process that is erroneous ab initio? How can we support a process that is being boycotted by the World Bank and European Union?
But legal.
I want to agree that Sierra Leone is a sovereign state.
Right.
And when it is a sovereign state, it is the supreme authority of the government to decide what happens within the confines of the country's border. Yeah? I agree. But again, one cannot just dismiss the role of World Bank, for example, when it comes to development. You cannot dismiss the role of EU. They have technical support and financial support to those institutions.
They can advise.
They
it's up
sit
to the government.
together. Yeah, of course, that is it. And when they advise they give are always spot on. They don't mislead government. They don't. And
these very institutions continue to support the country in different areas.
Of course, they will not withdraw support from the country. It is their responsibility. Yeah, it is their responsibility to support the country. But what needs to be established clearly is that they boycotted.
And so you follow suit.
They boycotted. We as a political party saw it as a crooked means of wanting to cling onto power even when they are unpopular. So we are also not going to support it, and we shall not support it.
Okay.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yes, quickly, then I'll bring in Dr. Mao.
They had this thing of this currency. I think Dr. Kaloko had a beautiful statement. At the end of the day, they said whether it's secret or not. ABC worked out, which means that is what the problem we're having now with the currency floating. Because that is you have stood your ground, go and sensitize your people. What did they do? You think working out is the answer?
Dr. Lai, sorry, Dr. Mao, let me hear you. Right.
Okay, my point here is, many times you see these political parties or politicians, when civil society stands up and say this is how things should go, they bash. They have they always take the opportunity of bashing civil society groups when things do not favor them at that particular time. And then in turn, when it is their own turn to get things to favor them, is when they want civil society to support. And you cannot be using civil society in that phase. You know, my point here is this now, is that let us, you as politicians, stop using the people. Stop taking advantage over the people. Stop making fool of the people. Because these are the very people that you need. You know, what this political party should be doing by now is trying to talk to their people. Next month, when it will be voter registration, let people go out in numbers and vote in their constituencies. This is what they should be thinking about at this time. You know, what we want is...
But the APC, of course, as a party already has called on its supporters to go out and register.
Fine. So you see, this is what they should have done a long time ago. You know, for me, I think that boycotting things does not make it democratic. You know, you always keep boycotting issues or events. It's not good for even your own development.
But the argument they're advancing is that the environment is not, I mean, democratic for them to exercise their rights. So instead of them having those confrontations, they will just want to see that in the interest of peace.
This is when they need civil society. This is when they should work with civil society. Because when they work with civil society, then you will see. Because civil society is always making the effort. Civil society is always making that effort to ensure that they hold them accountable. But like I said, when it does not favor one political party, then they will see you as an anti.
They'll give a tag for the other.
Yes, when it does favor you, you see that oh, this one is he or she is like that.
That is something we should get used to. I'm used to that every now and then.
So now, when you need civil society to come to your aid, it's when you will not get us. Because we have stopped being fools. Let me tell you. But you don't use us for your own...
With that enlightenment, then how do you get the majority of the citizens to understand that they should not be used as human shields by the politicians? Then who engages them?
This is the role civil society has been playing for several years. Awareness raising. You know, unfortunately, we have a population that is not fully educated. Exactly. That is not fully educated. And those of us that even think that we're educated, we have problems. So you see, so when majority of the people are illiterate, you get things like this. You get issues like this. Yes, well, yeah. Exactly. They have common sense when it is time to go to the ballot box. So this is where they decide. This is where they decide. This is why you should not take advantage of their illiteracy.
You know, yes, quickly, Honorable.
You see, most of the problem now, we talk about civil society educating people. When you start taking sides, who do you believe? Who do you turn up to? This, look, I've been around in this society for so long that I know exactly what I'm talking about. In the sense that people use the system for their own betterment without sacrificing the people they're supposed to be dealing with. But that's my own personal opinion. But at the same time, let the civil society, instead of taking sides, educate the masses. Let us become peaceful and law-abiding and follow due process. That is what we have been, not to call bulldoze or pauperism. These are the kind of, the two words is the same thing.
Exactly.
So what do you want?
All right. Let me run through some messages on Facebook quickly. We have so many of them, and I'm going to struggle, choosing the ones that are appropriate for me to actually read on air, because evidently there are, heavy political ones that would definitely not sound appropriate in the ears of our lovely audience. So, like I said, I will be struggling to go through all of them, as I have to choose as I read. What is the reason or reasons for the proposed demonstration? Okay, who are the figureheads behind it? The grant is asking. That is still a mystery to all of us here. We've not unraveled that, but we continue to ask questions. But ensure that, what we're calling for, do not participate in anything that threatens the peace and in anything that is not clear to you. Yeah. This is, okay, more like interesting. There is no need for demonstration. The economic conditions is not particular to Sierra Leone. Christopher Konowa is saying, Amara Alpha is saying, honestly, all about the census is to collect data on population and houses in any geographical location of a given country for even distribution of the national resources. And government and other partners can use the data to undertake developmental activities in the nation. And the midterm census figures are going to be used by Electoral Commission Sierra Leone to do boundary delimitation of wards and the constituencies for the upcoming 2023 elections. Bravo. So statistics for a job well done. And nobody will be allowed to take the country through the dark days because of their selfish game. Right. Interesting. All right. Mystica Duazak, thank you very much. But I think it's been sorted for you guys around Duazak. Thank you for the feedback. We don't need permit to demonstrate as a citizen. It is a way to vent out our anger so the government will be on its toes and do the needful. Then get lock the Kawa people na them Bokuna the country. If not na other. Okay. Idris, I will leave it there. I'm going to take at most 5 more messages. We have so many of them. So many of them. Guys, you would have to forgive me. We have hundreds of them here this evening. My sister, you're saying the truth, but there are some people that the politicians are using, like football. Ibrahim J. Oscar is saying, talk and go, talk and come. Politics is the game. APC bulldoze, power, we move. Minkailu, the PR will stand, and the data from statistics will be used. Muhammad B. Kaloni is saying, Cashman JPK Ali is saying, when it's a census which has a direct benefit and impact on the citizens, then they never sensitize, they're never sensitive and encourage people to partake. When it's to register to vote, all kinds of flyers and support groups are coming out to influence people to register and vote for them because it's a direct benefit on them, family members and close allies. Okay, a majority of the citizens are not educated, but at least they have common sense that the educated, I would not want to read that, more like one boy. The end of it is too disrespectful, I'm afraid. I only wish the APC can boycott the entire registration. Okay, moving. I'm interested.
It's a big fool.
Very interesting. Abdullah Said is saying, we have to make our country. No one else can make it for us. World Bank can't take decision for us. They can only advise, and it's left with us whether or not we can work with it. The former president bring inflation. Okay, interesting. Samuel, were you not the one that hosts those that were in charge of the census? You have the answer, the purpose why the census was conducted. Please tell us, and I know you can remember. Thanks to John Koya. Interesting. My role is to ask questions and try to clarify things. My people, you see what's the, okay, please, that is to cite. Talking of the midterm census results, I don't think those are credible results, especially about the about Kenema Abraham Tomihai Jr. is saying there. Minkailu, the APC has shot itself in the leg. Mohamed B. Kalon, Minkailu, if you have the mind to, okay, no, I won't go through that. Good evening, Samuel. I think the people have the right to peaceful protest, so please let the security sector grant them the go-ahead. Well, they are listening. They do not have the power to do so. Sierra Leone is a sovereign state, and it will not bow down to any foreign dictate. Minkailu, bear in mind that President Bio is in charge. He has rights to any decision that will favor and protect the country from chaos. Please relax and trust the process. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay. Not talk about constitutional violation, or then go say your party sack the vice president. Interesting at the grant. Is my mentor, okay, there's a complimentary message here for you saying a mentor Minkailu from Hassan Kule Kuruma. All these discussions are clear evidence that all these guys have no clue how to make Sierra Leone a prosperous country. For them, gaining power is like owning the country for that period, to share and distribute what belongs to 8 million plus people among themselves and immediate families at will. With ease and comfort, Lawrence Bangura. Political harass. EU never boycotted the census. It was only the World Bank that did that. Kenema has 16 chiefdoms, and the city also contained a lot of business people, and census was certified by UNESCO and other international bodies. Martin A.M. Silla. Samuel, please ask Mikhailo if he's conversant with the Constitution. Let us put our country first and stop misleading the public regarding the census. Mr. Bami, would you ever put Saloon first when you were in power? Kene Mohammed Saidu is asking. That's an interesting one. Well, when you're in parliament, you mean?
Obviously, yes.
APC think that they would control the ruling. Okay. I think I have to hold the messages there. We have hundreds of them, guys. I'm afraid I cannot go through all of them. Please, you would have to forgive me. I tried. It's taking as many as I could here, but unfortunately, I can't go through all of them. Let me. So Honorable Bamichide, so with all of these, I mean, if we are to craft the reformatory way forward in ensuring that at the end of the day, all these political concerns are brought to the table, are looked at. I mean, compromises are made in the interest of peace, in the interest of democracy, and in the interest of development, and of course, above all, the people of this country. Okay. What should be done?
The problem is we have to keep our mind open and listen. But the problem here, leadership is one person. But now we serve the go tell us, say, power will take care. And when you go take care, you have to deliver the deliverables, which they can't deliver. That is why people are off course. People are off course in the sense that, look at Sierra Leone, open line of communication. If this line of communication has been open, then some of these things that are coming on the fore, there's austerity we don't accept. There's, you talk about the bread and butter issue. All these things people are saying. But my own concern is when it's tinged with literature of aggression and the violent words will burn this, will burn it. That's why I'm versed with in the sense that it's your right to go through. But then every nation that is a sovereign nation has its own rules and regulation. But now, if you go and demonstrate, the government now should make sure it secures life and property by giving assurance to its citizens. We don't want to stop anybody from demonstrating. At least, I wish we had Hyde Park Corner, or where you can go and vent your views and everything. Then government will listen to it. But you see, sometimes, you know what comes and goes around? You see the social media, when they started it, it was good at the time. But now, on the reverse, it has created awareness, and now so much so that people now are so listening to the social media. If it's not curbed or controlled a little bit, not passing cyber laws and every kind of thing, engage your citizens, talk to them, stay connected. That's my only answer is stay connected and listen. Like when they said whether the petrol price came down by 1,000, at least the cry of the people was heard. Everything is processed. It takes time. Encourage your citizens to talk.
What would you expect now? At this moment from the APC, for example, that is saying we don't accept. Whatever comes out of this census, out of the data now we have as a nation that we will use to plan, to allocate resources, to do boundary delimitation. The APC is saying we will not accept any process that is coming from the data that is, available. That is the 2021. Somewhere. So they should go back to the 2015. Data.
Then we don't have any. We're not going to have any constituency. That's the catch-22.
And that takes us to
I wouldn't know.
To proportional representation?
I wouldn't know. Let us see when they get there.
Mikhailo, let me ask you now. Honorable Bamichide is saying, we will not get any constituency if you decide, okay, let's not use the 2021 data, census data. But evidently, if we're going back in the absence of constituencies, then we go back to the district block system, the proportional representation we are kicking against. Is that just a fine line of giving them that?
The public elections bill has been passed into law.
Right.
There is not going to be any PR system. As far as I am concerned.
That very bill talks about, Sierra Leone still goes by the forms of elections in the 1991 Constitution, which has the district.
There is not going to be a PR. If somebody is intending to drag us to PR, I am certain that there is not going to be PR. Secondly, there is no need for the rush. We already have constituency in existence, 132. And thankfully, Parliament has said they are going to maintain it as it is. The only difference is that the SLPP want to take some constituencies from the stronghold of the APC to now take them to their own stronghold.
Is that the case?
The more reason for the midterm census. That is just the case. They came with a grand plan, and they are executing the plan step by step. What they are doing is deliberate. Deliberate, unreasonable, and inconsiderate. They came with a grand plan. They are executing it. But enough is enough. The APC will no longer tolerate that to continue. Now, take a look at the recent survey by the Ministry of Basic Education on schools, just on schools. Now, when you say schools, these are public schools, not private schools. The number of school-going children, mark you, this is just for junior secondary school, senior secondary school, and primary school, not even university, yeah? The number of school-going children is almost equal to the population of Freetown. It's almost equal to the population of Freetown, as purported by the midterm census. That is something we have to take into serious account.
Does that not say, I mean, pupils or kids who be coming from other districts like the Western rural and school in the urban?
No, that is not the case. I am telling you for the Western area. Yeah, just that. Now, the Doc was saying this is when they need civil society. That political parties and politicians will only cry foul when they need political civil society. In some instances, when the law is in their favor, they will also even bash at civil society or reprimand civil society. I want to believe civil society is that bridge between the governed and the governors, the government and the people. And so if that is the case,
yeah, go ahead.
It is the responsibility of civil society to always ensure, you know, that the balance is being created. Civil society needs no invitation to advocate for the people. Now, I tell you, there is a certain consortium of civil society in this country. They are there to always propel or propagate government activities. They only come to bash at opposition and support government. That should not be the role of civil society. Because when the country was in turmoil, the role of civil society was very clear. Even starting from 1995, 96, the role the civil society played leading to Bintumani 1 and 2 was commendable. They did same to end the war. The role of civil society was very crucial and remarkable.
As a party,
yes.
As a party, did you accept the 2018 results, the election, the outcome of that?
We are actually not here to debate the 2018 election.
So I mean, what I'm asking is the pattern in actually agreeing or participating in some of the things. So you go back to the Bintumani.
You recall that
the
20
peace and all of that
conference,
yes.
You recall that the APC, through some of its members, went to court after the 2018 elections, challenging the result.
Yes.
The decision of the court is, you know, another story altogether. I may not want to dwell in that. But the fact of the matter is we handed over power peacefully. President Nkrumah proved to be democratic and patriotic. Without wasting time, he handed over. He did not only, you know, hand over, he also went to the inauguration ceremony of President Bio to show statesmanship. So we actually demonstrated a peaceful transition of power from one political party to another. That is what is important.
What will be the next line of action for the APC, if at all the boundary delimitation is carried out with the 2021 data?
We shall cross the bridge when we arrive. For now, I am here to state the position of the APC. We are not in support of any boundary delimitation exercise. We are not in support of it for the simple reason that the data that is to inform boundary delimitation was extracted from the midterm census. And ab initio, we've condemned the midterm census. We boycotted it. We did not support it. We asked our membership not to participate. But let me tell you one interesting thing. Genuinely, even those that we are sitting, that are not, you know, politicians, they don't belong to political parties. They believe in making decisions on their own. Those people were actually not given the opportunity to be registered. Some of them waited, but they were never approached to be counted. I am saying, Samuel, that even people that were sitting genuinely waiting for them to be counted in most parts of the western area and in the north and northwestern regions waited in vain. They were never counted. And we also need to know that the midterm census was actually full of challenges. We saw enumerators striking all over the place, stage strike. Some carted away with the palm tops that we are giving to them. Where did they get all of the information from to now tell us they have a credible data or provisional midterm census result? The APC will never support that. We don't trust that result. And we don't rely on that data to make any informed decision in this country. No.
Dr. Maoi, how prepared are you guys? I mean, those of you who've given your all to ensure that, I mean, we keep our peace, we maintain our peace, and with all of these things coming up.
Samuel, we are for peace, and we always support any process that is for peace building. What we are hoping for is how to sustain the peace we have as a country. And if you check the just concluded report of the Peace Index, Sierra Leone is third in Africa. You know, it means a lot. We have done a lot in terms of trying to put Sierra Leone to this particular level. And this is what we're looking at. You know, remember earlier on I stated that the human security of people is what we want to protect among all that is happening. You know, for us, we just want to reaffirm our commitment as a peace-building entity that devoid of any political affiliation, we are there to support the peace process in this country. And that takes me to the demonstration that is supposed to be held tomorrow. That we are not going against anybody that wants to demonstrate.
Right.
That is going out to protest. What we want to say is do it peacefully. Do not create any chaos. Do not create any conflict. And also to the security personnel, that would be, because I saw a press release that says they should go for a meeting, they should be deployed in certain areas tomorrow.
By zones.
Yes, so this is just an appeal that should, in case people come out to demonstrate or to protest, as long as it is a peaceful demonstration, that they want to talk about their rights, and they want to talk about how the present context of this country, they should be allowed to speak their minds. But they should do so in a manner in which they will not create any conflict, any violence in the communities. For me, this is what I care for, and this is what we stand for. So this is what we are talking to Sierra Leoneans for, that whatever you want to talk about, do it in a very peaceful manner.
In all of this, can I quickly ask you, Dr. Maoi, what's the role of the Electoral Commission at this point to ensure that, I mean, there are political concerns, the boundary delimitation. Yes, they have a mandate, a legal mandate to carry out, and they are going to carry that out. But how do they carry that out? I mean, there must be some form of compromises. I mean, without actually compromising the law, but I mean, getting the players to understand that this is what we're here for, and we can assure you that we're independent, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to the opposition. I've talked to many stalwarts in the APC party saying they've lost trust, they've lost confidence in the Electoral Commission, in the courts. So if these, I mean, redress mechanisms that are always there to help, I mean, forestall any threat and keep the peace, they've lost trust and confidence in them. Then how should those institutions now try to create or build back that trust and confidence in these political parties? I
mean, ECSL should do the right thing. And I think I read in one of their press releases that says, or some kind of report, that says they are going to continue to hold consultations. That is the first thing. Hold consultations at community level, trying to gauge the minds of the people. and then also create awareness about this.
Right.
And I believe they should be able to test the temperature to understand if people are ready for this, or what do we do as a country. You should have the support of the people. Involve the people in the process so that they too can be part of the process. They should own the process,
right,
so that the process belongs to each and every one of us. You know, for me, this is how I see it, that the ECSL should play an independent role, and that is the role they are supposed to play, and it is a must that they should not jeopardize that particular independence. And well, they should not also compromise the rules of engagement, you know, by looking at what is in the Constitution.
Right.
This is what they should work by. And I think that when I started, I said what we always put first things last,
right,
as a country, and this is why we're here talking about failed census results, data being cooked. You know, since I grew up as a young girl coming up, we have been having issues like this. Elections in, elections out. These are the issues we have been grappling with. Why can't we think as Sierra Leoneans to put national interest first? This is what we should be doing.
Right.
We should not be bashing each other's political party because something does not favor me at this particular moment. We should engage, you know, as political. I know they are opponents, but there are times they should come together as political. These are not children. Why do they have always to making fool of the citizens? You know, they should think about it, that if you want to rule Sierra Leoneans, you have to be truthful to yourself.
All right. Honorable Bamichiri, so there is this concern about state institutions, democratic institutions, being influenced politically, being controlled, so to the point that their independence, I mean, is something that is eroding so fast. And I mean, the two critical institutions, especially when we talk about politics and elections now, the main opposition does not have trust and confidence in the Electoral Commission and the courts, the judiciary itself. So how then should we play this out for a very peaceful elections come 2023?
Called integrity. I can remember later Chakamara, Berawa, Charles Magai, and Escouma. He played it so well. Everybody was on the air, criticizing, castigating him. But at the end of the day, you had a peaceful election. But at the end of the day, Acha and Esther to be friends, but he did it professionally. It's when you lose the professionalism in your job, that's why you have problem. Because the party say go do it, you go do it. Your duty is to advise and use your discretion. That's what they call discretion. Even this thing they're talking, I mentioned this DIG, Kane, when he said, you come, our duty is to protect the life and property within the citizenry. Is it not a good statement? So which means, like Doctor said here, if they're going to protest, you monitor. But is this high-handedness? If you take
would you bite the hands that feed you?
You have two choices. You either...
In a society like Sierra Leone?
Well, obviously, yes. That is what don't exist.
Right.
That's what I told you, Acha. I gave a... Because I was with Paberawa. I knew exactly. I saw Ernest grumbling. I saw Charles Magai grumbling. At the end of the day, the election was done. And they all were going to sack him till Ernest reinstated him as Inspector General. And Munu was the operation officer. But the point is, it's integrity. And use discretion. And you see, sometimes we don't like to tell people the truth in their face. Me now, Bokoblayo, you ask me my honest, I will tell you. That's what I've been with my own friend and brother, former president. He asked my honest opinion, I will give it as it is. And I'll sit down and wait. If he wants to do the wrong thing, that's his own business. But my advice, my conscience is clear. So in other words, let people be fair upon themselves. Because you see, sometimes we try to tell, please, the leaders, they go do them. If you know it's not possible, go back there and say, it's not possible. Because that is why you escalate tension.
How about just the obligation of appointments? That, for example, is whether the president or any politician, I mean, would not really need to even call you as neck boss or as the chief justice, but just by obligation because you appointed me or I'm appointed through you, I owe that to you. So whatever concerns you that I might not even be aware of, you're going to protect.
That's life in the sense that you have common sense. Nobody, you see one thing, like Allah says, Shaka Civic, only in battery, he uphold the law. He will call the judiciary and say, well, how you see this thing? They decide, he didn't decide, he will suggest. And they'll make all this, it's just as like 1965 Act was passed by Batabaru to Albert because they wanted to please Albert. But who suffered it at the end of the day? They were the first people who went to Manfata. Even in one party state, was done by SLPP, and then Shaka Civic just dusted it. He criticized it, but when he was coming, he woke up the file. So which means give proper advice to your leaders. Don't say, they go do away, you know, damn well not possible.
Mikhailu, so what redress mechanism would you trust to fix the system you feel that has been broken?
Yeah, you asked the question about the independence of state institutions,
right?
And the trust. You see, it is very sad that, you know, we are still not learning. Now, when it comes to recruitment regarding the police, people are recruited at community level. They are recruited at community level because they understand the terrain. They can speak the language of the people. And when they are deployed in those terrain, they can be able to relate well, to do a proper community policing. Police is actually not to harass or assault people. They are there to keep the law and maintain it. Yeah, to have a very good relationship with the citizens. But most recently, when you take a look at the list of deployments of IGs around Western area, for what they claim, you know, the proposed protest, faceless protest. The list of deployment, all of them, the names, they are all from the Southeast. They are Southeasterner names. And that is wrong. So when you want to make institutions independent, you start to look at it from that point. A lot of people are now actually critiquing that list. It is all over social media. People are having a conversation over that list.
So you don't, so you don't have trust in the police?
It is questionable. Those are the things, you know, the institutions must be looking into. Now, there is a claim from NGC. I read a press statement by the NGC, Dennis Bright, very recently, that was also critiquing the Electoral Commission, their recruitment, the employment of staff at the Electoral Commission, Sierra Leone. That is also very alarming when it comes to regionalism and tribalism. And it is what is bad. Bamichidi, the Honorable Bamichidi was mentioning the GTT, Government Transition Team Report. He said even before the GTT, there could have been a mechanism in which, something like a national cohesion, holding the country together, will have been done. But when you take a look at the GTT and the claims that were made in the GTT, and you take a look at the current dispensation, the way and manner in which things are being done in terms of recruitment and employment, I mean, it is not of a national character. So these are the things that are affecting us as a society. And these are the things we must look into. When you want to deploy, let there be a mix. Deploy people from all over the country, from all over the place, from various tribes, so that even the people that are being policed can be relaxed. Yeah, they cannot see it as a way of intimidating them. So these are just some of the things we must take into serious account. You know, there is this issue about NEC, the relationship between ECSL and NCRA. We are fast approaching voter registration. Somebody was advising, was jokingly saying the APC should ask their people to again boycott voter registration.
Yes.
Interesting. we are not going to boycott voter registration. Because we want to prove a point. We are going to encourage our people to register massively so that we shall prove to the world that the APC is actually in control of the Western area and that the population of the Western area far more equates what the midterm census is portraying. I know, for example, that when it comes to voter registration, it will only capture 18 and above and of sound mind citizens of Sierra Leone. Unlike the census, it goes for every category of individuals. But even just with the voter registration, we are going to prove a point that the population of Western area far more exceeds what the midterm census is portraying. To our membership in the APC, let me use this platform
quickly, please,
to tell you that the APC is not in disarray. What is happening in the APC is not uncommon in any political party. We saw the SLPP prior to 2018. They had about, many cases. They challenged about 34 or so constituency. A rerun was done. Many inadequacies, but in the end, they were able to unite and push a common cause. The APC is on the verge of uniting. There is currently a peace process within the party, and very soon we shall be having a symposium to have a conversation to settle our indifferences. So let them be rest assured. They have to come out and register in their numbers. We have to prove a point that we own the city.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady. It's been a pleasure having all three of you here this evening. So this is where we end tonight's program. Many thanks to the Honorable Bami Chidi, to Alfred Minkailu Kroma, to Dr. Aissata Mahoy, and to those of you who followed us on social media, who watched us on TV and listened to us on radio. A repeat of the show comes up on Thursday at 10 p.m. just in case you miss a part of this or a whole of this show. But a fresh edition comes up on Sunday, same time, here on your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Until we meet again, the show has been AYV on Sunday. My name is Samuel Bangura, and up next is our AYV Primetime News. Take care of yourself and have a lovely night.